Hi, and welcome to this latest conversation video. In this conversation video, we're not talking about immigration law, we're not talking about well-being, but I wanted today to talk to Bushra Ali about her career journey and particularly about overcoming obstacles and her aspirations to become what she is, the phenomenon that she is today. So thank you, Bushra, for joining me today. Really privileged to have you here. Tell us a bit about who you are and what you do.
I'm Bushra Ali. I am a practicing solicitor. I'm the managing director at Bushra Ali Solicitors, which has been running since 2015. That's where we currently are at. In terms of the other bits that are going on at the moment, I'm currently serving on the National Law Society of England and Wales on the Immigration Law and Policy Committee, and recently completed my time in office as the president of the Leicestershire Law Society too. Separately, we have the Bushra Ali Group, which focuses on empowering, supporting and achieving excellence and encouraging those young individuals and individuals of diverse groups to really get involved and overcome barriers too. So a lot going on.
No, that's fantastic. And that's why I thought it was good for us to talk, because you've combined your sort of legal practice with this work as the Bushra Ali Group and empowering people, which is fantastic. Now, we were recently chatting online about a BBC News article. People may have picked up from our brilliant Welsh accents that we are, you know, we hail from the promised land. So, and there was a BBC article about young Welsh students just lacking the confidence to pursue a career in the law. And I know that struck a chord with you, and you've done a recent article with a Wrexham newspaper. Just tell me about your journey to the law as a young Muslim girl growing up in North Wales. Yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah, that article really struck a chord, and thank you for bringing that article to my attention then. It struck a chord for many reasons, and I'll talk through the journey as to why I felt it was so important. So I was born in Huddersfield in West Yorkshire, and family moved when I was aged 5 to Wrexham in North Wales, and that has been home ever since. Grew up there and studied there. And to be fair, back then, I recall we were the only family of colour. So I'm going back to how different it was back then. And in that situation, studying, there was a lot of racism back then, a lot of difficulties. And I remember my parents always saying, no, we have made a decision to stay here, and we are going to stay here, and we will be accepted. And they really made it work, and they grafted hard. Primary school, high school, I went on to Yale College then, which is now College Cambria, and I studied A-level law, I studied A-level Welsh and English literature. And I remember coming home to my mum and crying after the first week of A-level Welsh, and I said, I want to change it, I want to do a different subject. And she said, why? And I said, because I'm too good at it, and the teacher keeps on picking on me to answer the question, and I'm being a teacher's pet, and I don't like it. And my mother was horrified, and she'd said, stop it. You know you want to study law at degree level. You're really good at this, and this is going to get you your A, so get on with it. So what really mattered was that support of family and parents really being in there with you, and parents being invested too as part of that journey. I remember saying to my father, I want to go and study law at university. And my dad had said, let's see how you get on with your A-levels, not really engaging with it at that point. And by the time I came home, Dad, I've got these A's, I've done really, really well. Dad really needed to think about it at that point. And it was such an issue, and a big issue at that stage, because the local university didn't teach law. And Glyndŵr University did not teach law. And for a young Muslim single female, studying outside of the home area was absolutely out of the question. So my parents had to go and speak to the wider family. It was all about seeking permission, telling them that this is what Bushra wants to do, even though they were parents. And it was all having that discussion. Mum and Dad heard everything. They really thought about it. And they sat me down and they had said, this is the family's honour, it's the family's reputation. We do not ever want to hear from you. You held me back, and we are going to support you, and you are going to go to university and study law, but don't make us regret it. And it was that conversation, and it was them being invested in it too. So Dad with me went to see all the universities, and we settled on Manchester Metropolitan University, where I went on to study. I had never ever seen a train in my life. I didn't know what a train looked like, because Dad came every single Friday, picked me up and brought me back to Wrexham, and then took me back every Sunday. And it was all about investing emotionally and mentally in your studies and getting there. Graduated in law. I went on to study at the bar. I thought, I am outspoken, I really have this voice, I have my opinions, and I want to be able to support others that don't have that. So I graduated at the bar, and I remember my mum saying at that time, Bushra, isn't law for the men? I can't think of any women I've seen in law. So it was overcoming all of those issues. And then I went on as an appeals advocate for a law firm in London. And what was nice, that parents never said, right, you're done, now come home, we need to get you married. It was all about investment and support and encouraging to achieve your aspirations. And I worked as an appeals advocate in court every single day. Then I hit a point where I wanted to be able to run a case from beginning to end, and I wanted to be really involved at the time, what we call instructions being taken, and really looking at the way a case will be formulated. So I decided I wanted to cross qualify as a solicitor. I moved closer to home, relatively, Birmingham in the middle, and I was lucky to have a post for a really well-respected law firm in Birmingham. You'd know TRP Solicitors. That's where I cross-qualified as a solicitor, specialising in immigration, and I was there for nearly 6 years. I hit a point in the career where I was then headhunted for a post in Leicester, where I set up a new immigration department for a law firm that was already specialising in mental health. So that's how we moved over to Leicester at that point. And won Solicitor of the Year in 2012 through Leicestershire Law Society. 2016 became the only person to have won that award twice. And then I hit the point that I was ready to set up my law firm. But in all of that journey, whether it was I was born with cataract, and I was partially sighted. I received additional support in school throughout because of that disability. I had several operations, and my eyesight was restored at the age of 15. And I never saw it as something that held me back. I was grateful my eyesight's been restored, and now I can achieve all my aspirations and do everything that I've wanted to do. So indeed, there have been obstacles I've had to overcome, but I love challenges. I love it when someone says to me, you can't do this, because even if I didn't want to do it, I want to do it now, because I will prove you wrong. So it's that go-get attitude, I think, that's really supported me in getting to where I think I've got to. I've still got plenty to do, but it's really supported me in doing that.
What about perhaps there may be some people watching or at the early stages of their studies or career. What about at your stage of the journey? What have been the particular challenges, perhaps over the last couple of years, setting up your own firm?
I think I'll give a couple of examples there. In my mind, particularly earlier on, I would always be looking around me to see who else is doing that. Has anybody else got there? And I was always looking for people that looked like me, that sounded like me, at the boardroom table of any organization, anything I wanted to do. And I hit a point in my life that I realized that you've got to stop doing that. At some point, you will find that nobody else looks like you, and you know you are the right person for the role, and you will be that person who is going to break down those barriers and shatter those glass ceilings to be that first, to pave the way for many others. So one of the things that we recently did through the Bushra Ali Group was the Women in Leadership panel discussion, which went international. And the reason I've mentioned it is because we had Stephanie Boyce, who is the current president of the Law Society of England and Wales. And it was great because she is the first Black president of the Law Society. And it was this idea that don't say I can't do it because there's not ever been a president of colour before. Be the first, but also make sure you are not the last. And it's really, really important that we take up those roles at boardroom and senior level so that we can inspire and encourage other young individuals to know if they've done it, so can I. So it's important to be able to do that. It takes a lot of courage, but it's very, very rewarding to know that you may have encouraged some other young individuals to realize that they can also do it.
I think that's so important. It's not just about achieving yourself. And so often as lawyers and perhaps achievers, that's what we want to do, but actually leaving that legacy that makes a difference for those coming behind us and paves the way. So those opportunities, those positions are available and they have those role models and they can see a trodden path. I was going to say a well-trodden path, but perhaps not a well-trodden, but at least somebody who's paved the way. And what you've perhaps hinted at this already throughout your other answers, but what have been the most important factors if you were giving a sort of advice to students? I know this is something we want to take up in the future, perhaps to inspire some young Welsh students particularly, but if you were giving sort of advice of what those characteristics, what are those important factors, what's your sort of shopping list of important factors that you would recommend for people?
I feel that's a brilliant question because it allows me to say a couple of things that I think are really, really important. And I think one of the things is remain focused on your goal and not focused on what other people are doing. Always know that your journey will be unique, and it's being unique that makes it so special to you. Don't try to be or want to be a carbon copy of someone else that you know has done well. That was their journey. And well done to them. Carve out your own journey. And you will take other paths. It sometimes will take you longer to get there. You will take a route and realize perhaps this isn't for me. It's okay to do that and then change and go on to do what you want to do. You don't need to get somewhere at the same speed as other people. Mine was a little the opposite. Every time when I qualified and I went out into reception to get the client to come in and they would say, "Are you the works experience student?" I had that problem because I qualified so young and it was then being taken seriously because they expected your lawyer to look a little older and have those grey hairs and behave a certain way. And I was almost looking too inexperienced. But the point is, embrace your journey and uniqueness, whatever it is. I also feel these days, well-read, well-experienced individuals are so accessible. These days you have LinkedIn. You can send a direct message to whoever you want. It's up to them if they respond. My God, we didn't have those things back then. We couldn't access all these great practitioners and individuals. We can now. So utilize those opportunities and make sure you're maximizing your time. Whenever you have got that time off from your studies, beforehand, always plan ahead, put in that works experience, be looking at where you can get involved. What can you do with your time? Certainly as a recruiter, every time I've been recruiting, I will end up with 200 CVs that look exactly the same. Everybody's got the same law degree and the same masters. What am I looking for? And often I've had to make a decision based on the other things people have done. When I've had individuals sitting there in front of me applying for a post, I've often taken somebody who's got a 2-1 or a 2-2 instead of somebody who's got a first-class degree because they've been able to show me that passion I've been looking for. They've been able to demonstrate to me, I've been working at the Citizens Advice Bureau. This is how I've been supporting the British Red Cross. This is what I've been doing with my time. They're not paid posts, but they are posts that show me you are working hard to get onto that ladder to forward your journey. So it's really, really important you remain unique. You look at how you can maximize your time. You can really try to get whatever you can out of your time, and that experience is really, really important. Do look at taking on any experience roles that are available, because these days you will find people are not necessarily looking to take on someone in a paid role, but they watch you during your work's experience. And if you impress them, they will create a role for you. I've done that many times.
I think there's so much value in that, Bushra, from not comparing ourselves to others and taking our own path, because so much in a social media world we're comparing ourselves with everybody else's best selves that they're putting online, and comparison is the thief of joy. And we want to see people who find joy in what they do and purpose. And those, I think, taking those opportunities, you know, when we interview people for pupillage or for tenancy, they've done a million mini pupillages. But actually, I'm far more interested in the person who's volunteered, who's got this passion, who's got this experience. You know, it makes so much difference. Just in terms now of your work with the Bushra Ali Group, and I know you're setting up a new venture now, business-wise, in Wrexham, in your hometown. What are you doing, and what things are you involved in to help empower people and help them achieve their potential?
So the Bushra Ali Group has got a number of arms underneath it, if we may call it initiatives or projects. We have empowered women, empowering women. And that really came from Her Honour Judge Nancy Hillier had said to me, whilst you are climbing that ladder, from time to time, don't forget to turn around and help the next person up. Yeah. And that really, really meant something to me. We're all so busy in our own journey. I need to do that. I need to do that. I need to do that. Great. Don't forget to turn around and help the next person up. It is our social responsibility, but it's also about giving back. And it was a great question I was asked when I went as president to the dinner of Cheshire and North Wales Law Society. I was asked the question, oh, why did you leave Wrexham? Which was easy. It was in my brain now to say, oh, the local university didn't teach law. But why didn't you come back? And I was stumped. I actually didn't have an answer, and it really made me think. And it was about, well, Wrexham's done so much for me. I studied there. I had my operations there. My eyesight was restored. I did my A-levels there. Why haven't I gone back now to be able to do things there too, which is so important? So it's about giving back to community, have those talks in colleges, speaking to the A-level students about your journey, reassuring them it's not about your connections and it's not about your relatives. It's about how passionate you are, how fixated you are on your goals, and how motivated you are, and how you're maximizing your opportunities. So empowered women, empowering women is about making sure we have inspiring ladies that are still on their journey, that have achieved great success, that are delivering workshops and are inspiring other individuals too, and the sharing of journeys, which is so, so important. Separately, we have Equality, Diversity, Inclusion Network, which really focuses on addressing issues that are of concern and need to be brought to the forefront. So we have a diversity roundtable, the social mobility roundtable. We're having a session delivered on maximizing your marketing yourself as a law graduate on LinkedIn. Things about what are law firms looking for as recruiters. We're having sessions on a career at the CPS, which will be delivered by the Chief Crown Prosecutor also. So we really want to make sure that individuals can see really diverse individuals doing amazing things, so they can be inspired too, but also reassured that they can do those things too. We're having panel discussions. The unconscious bias is coming up too. There's great things to really get involved in and have things to say that really matter. Separately, we have the Good Lawyers Project, which is about encouraging individuals to not only be good enough, but to achieve excellence. So sessions on compliance, sessions on ethics, sessions on how to do advocacy effectively and really well, and to encourage individuals to be better, not just good enough. So these are all the initiatives that really do matter to me and that I feel I've benefited from in my journey, and now want to be able to give back to support others. And all sessions are free to get involved in, so please do look out for them. They really can be inspiring to get involved in.
And that was my final question. If somebody wanted to get involved with something with the Bushra Ali Group, or even they're inspired by you and you know they have legal matters they want to bring to Bushra Ali Solicitors, how's the best way to reach out and get in touch with you? Perhaps we should, I was tempted to say, perhaps we should leave it as a mystery, and those who are very keen graduates can find you and reach out to you. But But in terms of, yeah, just the Bushra Ali Group and getting involved and Bushra Ali Solicitors, how do people get in touch with you?
We're all over Facebook and LinkedIn. You will always find us there. Please feel free to follow and get involved in anything. There's always links to book onto things there. In terms of Bushra Ali Solicitors, the website, please contact us. The telephone number is there also, and email address. Just get in touch. You will not find it difficult to find us. That's one thing we really do try to get out there. But I've really enjoyed marketing in terms of social media, and being socially involved is something that I have really enjoyed. So hopefully people will get in touch and we can support in some way, definitely.
No, absolutely. And that's another sort of final takeaway tip for people to look and see how it's done and how you do it in terms of marketing and reaching out through social media and events, you know, that have this empowering and, you know, opening up diversity to the legal profession. So Bushra, thank you so much for sharing your journey, sharing your wisdom. And I think there's so much value people will be able to take away from today's conversation. So thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Adam.
No problem at all. Good to see you.
Thank you.